I'm Blind Chelsea, and this is 10 things I wish sighted people knew. This video is dedicated to Misty for her totally awesome suggestion that I never would have thought of myself. And I don't know why though, because I feel like it's a really great idea. So that's why we're shooting it today. Okay, one of the first issues that I find super frustrating about being blind, and I wish sighted people knew, was that I'm actually blind. A lot of times I'll be out in public and I'm interacting with strangers, and I will come across two different scenarios. One, I'll be checking out at a store, I'll be trying to have some kind of exchange with a stranger, and they seem a little confused, or I'm confused about what I need to do in checkout or where the ATM slot is, and I say, oh yeah, I'm blind. And they think I'm kidding. They think that because, oh, I'm blind, or oh, I can't see is an expression for I don't know what's going on a lot of the times in people's language. They think I'm just being funny, and I'm not. I'm being dead serious. And I don't really know how to communicate to them, no, I'm really blind, like please help me, without just laughing at them like that. So that's really weird. Another instance is when I'm at a restaurant, and you guys know how people try to take your order. They don't say like, hello lady in the blue blouse, what kind of sandwich would you like today? They look at you, they make eye contact, and then you tell them what you want to eat. For blind people, that's very difficult because we have no idea you're looking at us. We don't know you're trying to make eye contact. So we cannot reciprocate that eye contact very well. And to sighted people who don't know that we're blind, that makes us look like jerks. And I hate that about being blind, because so many times people will just assume, oh, she's rude, and then probably spit my food. Please don't spit my food, but I get it. I came off mean. So that's super frustrating, and I don't really know how to communicate to them, like, I'm blind, like, actually blind, like, I don't know, because I don't even know that they're ready to take the order. They just look at me, and it's like, I don't know if it's my turn, like, oh, it's super frustrating. So I wish that sighted people just could tell that I was blind, and it would save me a lot of time and a lot of misunderstanding. So that would be awesome. Okay, this one is more a warning for you guys, beneficial for you. I spill stuff a lot, all the time. I'm bumping into things because I do not actually follow my blind people training and take my time and glide my hands smoothly over the base of the countertop to feel for the bottom of the cup or plate. No, I am a bull in a china shop, and I just go for it because I am extremely impatient and impulsive. So do not, I repeat, do not leave your uncapped, unlidded, open cup next to me. I will knock it over, and I will make a huge mess. And yes, this is my fault, and yes, I could be more careful, but I'm not. And then there's just some times where blind people are clumsy because, yeah, we can't see. Expect it. So that is mostly a warning for you guys. You need to be really, really careful about what you put next to a blind person, because we'll probably knock it over. So if you're gonna put your cup there, you better warn us, and you probably shouldn't put your cup there. Another thing that I wish sighted people knew was I am not usually offended by personal questions about my blindness. What usually happens is someone will be like, I was gonna ask, but I didn't want you to get upset, and I was like, why would I get upset about that? Like, I love talking about myself. Why do you think I have a YouTube channel? So 9 times out of 10, I am not gonna have a problem with what you asked me. I don't know, I can't speak for all blind people because I can't speak for all people, but I don't know anyone who gets upset when you ask them questions about like, what is your vision like? What do you see? Most blind people like to talk because sometimes we can be by ourselves a lot because of the transportation issues that we usually have. And it's nice to talk to people, and blindness is typically a very difficult thing for people to cope with, and it helps most people to talk about it. So when you come up to me and want to ask, like, were you born blind? What happened? I don't mind at all. It doesn't bother me. So if you have a question for me, just ask me. Just leave it in the comments or send me a message or just ask me in person. It's not something that bothers me, despite what most sighted people think. Okay, another thing that I wish sighted people knew was I do not necessarily have your voice memorized. There are some people who I see on a regular basis, or they have a special quality about their voice, and I totally have them memorized. They can get about 3 words into their sentence, and I already know who it is. They don't have to announce themselves. I get it. But for most people who are just acquaintances or your friends that I don't see regularly, I can really, really struggle with figuring out who you are. So when you come up to me and you just say, hey, how's it going? It's been forever. I'm like, who are you? And it's super awkward, and I feel so bad because I don't want to say, I have no idea who you are. But unfortunately, that happens a lot. And things that can make distinguishing the voices even more difficult is when it's loud, when there's music. Another example is if you have a cold, that has changed the way your voice sounds. I have no idea who you are. Your voice sounds totally different, and I can't see you to guess. Another example would be if I see you in a place I don't expect to see you. I ran into a friend in the grocery store the other day in my town, but she doesn't live in my town. So it took me the entire first sentence she spoke for me to realize and be like, wait a second, I know who this is, because I just my brain did not expect to find her in this location. So when I was sorting through the people she could possibly be, she was not at the beginning of that list. So it took me a while to figure it out. So I wish that sighted people would just take the precaution that I probably don't know who you are, and just put their hand on my hand or their hand on my shoulder and say, hey Chelsea, it's so-and-so, just to save me the embarrassment of not knowing who you are and feeling so bad. And that way you'll actually get a 100% genuine conversation out of me, because I'll know who you are and I can make our conversation personalized for you like I want to. Next thing that I wish sighted people knew was we have a really hard time telling when you're starting a conversation with us and when you're ending a conversation with us. If I am in a large room with strangers or just even a large group of people, if you just walk up to me and say, hey, how was your day? I don't know you're talking to me. You could be talking to Tim sitting next to me. Like, I don't know who you're talking to. And sometimes I will answer that question and it will be fine. And sometimes I will answer that question and then my husband will tap my shoulder and say, they were talking to someone else. And it's super embarrassing. So a lot of time now, I just wait until you say, Chelsea, I'm talking to you. Yeah, so that helps a lot. Another thing is when the conversation is over, people typically just turn or head tilt, or they dart their eyes to someone else, or sometimes they just leave. And sighted people totally get it. Conversation's over, whatever, that's fine. I have trouble with that. And a lot of the time, I will think that the sighted person is still there, and I will think that we're still talking. So I will continue to speak to them, and I'm talking to an empty room or they're back. It is super embarrassing. And that's even happened with me and my husband. Like, I'll be talking, he'll leave the room, I won't realize, and I'm just talking to empty space, and it's so dorky and embarrassing. So I do wish that sighted people knew that it is helpful if you say, hey, Chelsea, when you want to start a conversation with me, or you could just touch my shoulder, touch my hand. It really helps me figure like, oh, they're talking to me, not a Sarah next to me. That's would be super helpful. And then just try to let me know that you're leaving. I don't really know how to communicate that without being rude and being like, okay, I'm done talking to you now, bye. So I don't know. That's kind of a difficult one, but maybe something where if you're like, oh, see you later, or talk to you later, or something like that would help me not continue to speak to an empty space. Okay, another thing that is frustrating about being blind, and I wish sighted people knew, was how stressful loud environments are for me. Because I cannot use visual cues and I rely completely on my other senses, I really, really struggle with loud environments. If I'm like at a concert or a really loud movie, or there's a crowd and everyone's being really, really loud, or this Mexican place in town that plays their music super, super loud and it's always like really, really packed, so there's lots of people talking and you can't hear anything, I get really stressed out because not only then am I blind, I also feel like I'm deaf because the information that I am getting is so overwhelming and at that point unnecessary to what I've already established as facts about the environment. I cannot hear the little cues that I need to navigate or figure out what's going on or understand who's talking to me or what they actually asked me. It becomes really confusing. And then I have to rely completely on touch and smell. And I guess if I wanted to taste things, but that would be really weird. So that is very, very, very stressful. And I feel totally lost and confused. Another example of when that can be really difficult is if I need to travel with my cane, like sidewalk travel, if I need to go to the grocery store. One time I went out and it was super, super windy. And that's not really a big deal for sighted people. You guys can still walk and go places, but if I need to cross the street and it's really windy, like the windy in Oklahoma where you can't hear things, I can't hear if there are cars that are about to run me over. So I cannot cross the street. One time I went out and trying to go to the store and it was too windy and I just had to go home. I was like, I can't go to the store today because I can't guarantee that I'm safe because I cannot see the cars and I cannot hear the cars and it's not like I'm gonna smell them. So yeah. So that is another example of how really loud noises can be very stressful for people like me just because we don't know what's going on and we rely so much on sound at this point. It can even be unsafe. The next thing that I wish sighted people knew, and this is less common, but it has come up quite a bit. My white cane is meant to hit things. So when I'm walking by myself and my cane is going side to side, its purpose is to bump into things and let me know that they're there so I don't bump my face into them. Now, what happens when my cane hits nothing is I know nothing. But as soon as my cane hits a curb or hits a lamp post or a brick wall, I know exactly where I am. And it's super, super helpful, and that's valuable information that I have just been given. So when you see me walking, do not pull me away from the things that my cane is about to bump into. Don't be like, oh my goodness, oh no, she bumped into that. Uh-oh, come this way. No, that's the purpose. That's what I'm trying to do. When I move my cane back and forth, it is searching for objects. So let me hit the object. It's the only way I'm going to get information. I don't need you protecting me from bumping my cane. There's no pain involved when my cane bumps something. That's its job. Another thing that I wish sighted people knew was it does not help me for you to push me or pull me to help me travel to places. What happens when you pull me is I get really nervous because I'm not in control of where I'm going. I don't know exactly the path you're going to take. Often I don't know how good you are at sighted guide training, and it can actually surprise me if I don't know you're about to do that or don't know how hard you're going to pull, and I could fall down. Another even worse thing you could do is push me. When you push someone, they are not anticipating it typically. So if you push my back or my shoulder or my arm, my weight becomes counterbalanced and I am toppling from the top of my body, but my feet are still anchored to the ground. So I am very, very likely to fall over. You did not help me if I have fallen over. What you should do is offer me your elbow so we can go sighted guide, which means you will walk, I will grab your elbow, and I will decide to follow when I am capable and ready to follow. So I know that people's first instinct is to just pull me, grab my hand and pull me, or push my back, but it is really, really, really not helpful. It's very frustrating and it is actually very dangerous. So please, sighted people, please stop. Another thing, this is one of the more frustrating things about being blind. I wish sighted people knew that I can take criticism regarding my disability. This comes up a lot in school for me since I was in a more visual program being in theater arts. I feel like I got thrown softballs in critiques on my performance because people, and I can't guess their motivation, but I feel like they were worried they would hurt my feelings. So because of that, I did not get the same level of constructive criticism that other students were getting. And I think maybe just because people were so worried I would get upset because maybe I wasn't looking quite at the other actress or I wasn't looking at the audience correctly. Since it was related to my disability, they were worried I would just burst into tears. And it is painful to hear that my disability is affecting my performance. I hate hearing that. Like when I'm shooting these videos and my husband has to tell me, Chelsea, you weren't looking at that camera in that entire shot. We need to redo it. It's really embarrassing and it is hard to hear, but I do want to hear these criticisms. I do want to be told, like, Chelsea, because you can't see, you didn't cut that straight, we need to do it again, or because you can't see, you weren't facing the right direction on the stage, we need to come up with a system for you to do it correctly. I want to know those things because I want to get better. My blindness is not going to go away. It's not. So I don't want to just sit in this existence of I'm only mediocre at these tasks that are a little more visual. I want to progress. I want to find ways to get better at them and to accommodate and to find new techniques to be really good at even visual things. And as long as people are super worried about hurting my feelings in a way that they won't give me those critiques or criticisms, there's nothing I can do to progress. And that hurts me more than that criticism is going to hurt. So I really, really wish that sighted people knew I'm tougher than you think I am. And if you come to me in a respectful, constructive, polite way to really help me, I'm gonna respond well to that. Sure, it's not gonna feel good to get criticized. It never does. But it's gonna feel better than me realizing that we went the entire show, the entire rehearsal period, and you never gave me one note. I'm not that great. I know that I make mistakes, especially ones related to vision, and I would be much happier if people were honest with me and came forward and said, Chelsea, we really need to work on X because I think that you can't really tell that you're doing it wrong, and I want to help you get better. I would appreciate that so much more, and I think we both would be a lot happier. Now, the absolute most important #1 thing that I wish sighted people knew, and some sighted people in my life do know, and I wish they would remember, is do not move my stuff! Stop. Ugh, don't put it there. Don't touch my things. Ah! Stop it. I don't need you to move the bread to a different cabinet and not tell me. I don't need you to take my backpack off the table in class, move it to the edge of the classroom and not tell me, because guess what happens? When you move my things, I suddenly have no idea where they are. And then I have to navigate the entire space I think it might be, feel all the countertops, feel the floor, feel the drawers, feel the cabinets, and search for the item on a blind, wild goose chase from my nightmares. It is so frustrating. And the worst perpetrator is my husband. So sighted people, if you meet a blind person, just know you are not helping them. If you're like, oh, their cup is in a bad spot, I'll just move it. No, because now we don't know where our cup is. You just blinded us further. So we would appreciate it if you feel the need to move our items. You need to tell us, and you need to tell us exactly where you're putting them, and preferably you need to ask permission first, because just moving someone else's stuff is really weird. Like, for example, today I wanted to relax before filming this video and watch King of Queens on DVD. Lovely time I had planned, but my husband thought he would move the box set, and then, great, what do I get to do? I get to scan the whole tabletop where I remember leaving the DVDs and realize, huh, they're not there. And I get super frustrated and really mad because suddenly I cannot watch the DVDs until I find a sighted person to save me from this nightmare. So that is why the #1 thing sighted people need to know is when you move our stuff, we become enraged. We rely almost completely on memorization to find household items. And when you move them around, you have blinded us. So stop it. Just stop it. Alright, so if you guys like this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell if you want to know next time I upload and I have some ridiculous rant I want to talk about. Listen to me. And comment. What do you guys think about this list? How many of the 10 did you already know? And how many did you just never think of before? Is this going to change any behavior that you guys have with the blind people in your life? Or if you're a blind person out there, what did I miss? What is so frustrating that you wish sighted people knew? What do you got? All right, that's all for me today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.